back live at A3C with the Atlanta Innovation Studio, powered by MailChimp. And always looking forward to this conversation.
My man.
My good friend Jay Bailey. Jay, nice to see you again.
Oh, it's always good to be seen, man. It's good to be back in the gathering spot around people. Oh, brother.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good to like reach out and touch you. Yeah,
exactly.
my man.
And we were at Venture Atlanta the last few days, and that was buzzing. Now this, so there's a session going on. There'll be a lot of people coming through.
Sure.
So Jay, first of all, I have to ask the most important question.
Uh-oh.
How's fatherhood?
So Alex, you've actually never met me before. I am a totally different person.
Yes.
I've always talked about legacy. I've always talked about generational planning. To now be able to, in real time, hold it in my hands, brother, my whole world's different. Everything seems focused. Everything, if you've met me before and I was energized and I was focused and I was driven, take that times 10, easily.
Yeah, well, it's anytime someone is about to have a kid, and it's starting to age here, showing my age. We'd be having teenagers and young adults, but it is something that you can't describe what it is once you have your kid. Everything changes inside you. It makes you more purposeful, though, right?
And everybody, they tell you about it,
yeah,
but it's something you feel. And so when you talk about purposeful, the alignment and the clarity that I have now about what I need to do with this time that we have right now on Earth.
Right.
I think one of the best pieces of advice I got from a good friend, Greg Clay, that's here in Atlanta, he said, Jay, when Blaine was pregnant, he said, Jay, everybody knows you're going to be a good father. No question about that. What we need you to focus on is being a really dope great-great-great-grandfather. Yeah. And it hit me. He was like, okay, yes, you'll be able to do this on autopilot, but what are you doing right now that will impact 7 generations yet unborn?
Yeah.
What are you doing now where your life will have relevance to generations you'll never meet? And brother, it hit like a brick.
Yeah.
And I started getting laser focused on what does legacy building look like? What does a generational wealth strategy look like? What does generational impact look like? And so you find me here now, man. I'm charged up.
Yeah, as you are, and it's good to have you. Jay took a little bit of a summer break, as he should have.
You know what, though, I learned?
Yeah.
I took a pause from the world, and it kept spinning, Alex.
Yeah.
And it was a lesson that I needed to learn.
Yeah.
It was a lesson that I needed to learn.
It's amazing the world goes on, right?
It just kept spinning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about, obviously, Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs, which, of course, I feel like everybody should know about, and if they don't, shame on them. But one thing I had to kind of set you up about that. One of the things I've noticed telling people is when they say, "Oh, is it an incubator, accelerator?" It's not, because I believe what you're doing there is really reinventing entrepreneurship, and not just for Atlanta, but for the country, for the world. So how do you think about that, and what are you doing?
I did a lot of study before we did anything. I spent a good 6 months going to all the incubators, accelerators, visiting, talking to people, hearing the gaps, talking to entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I continued to find is that we always focus on access to capital, but not enough on community. And I think many people design programs that really focus on being informative. We got a lot of information over here. You come to us for 6 weeks, we're going to give you all this information. Right. They talk about the informative, but not the transformative.
Right.
How do I actually make Alex a better entrepreneur on the back end, a better person that then translates to a better business? Yeah. So how can I look at the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness, the self-confidence, the belief that's necessary for you to be a successful entrepreneur, rather than just trying to give you curriculum.
Right.
Now, once I can focus on that community, that culture, that covenant, that belief, that self-esteem, that confidence, wrap it around a world-class curriculum, world-class instructors, but don't rely just on my staff.
Right.
If I got a fintech company, I'm going to Fiserv. Right. If I'm looking at a logistics company, I'm calling UPS.
Right.
So these businesses can learn from the best in the world, but as I tell all of our partners, it's not just about what you can teach them. If I'm a small business and I'm getting taught logistics by UPS,
oh my God,
what does that do for my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my belief? Now I've matched that with world-class knowledge, time for me to fly.
Right.
On a continuum of engagement for the life cycle of a business. So I don't necessarily believe in like social promotion, where if you stay with us for 2 weeks, you move to the next level. If your company is not ready and has the solid foundation to move to the next level, you don't move.
Right.
And creating this circular economy that allows for you, as you grow, to always have a support network, to always have a community, always being able to plug into resources, and always having a family that supports. It's one of the things that I saw was one of the greatest deficiencies in the startup entrepreneurship ecosystem, this continuum.
Yeah. So, it's interesting because you just talking about UPS and all that. Well, first of all, how long has it been now for Russell Innovation Center?
I was hired about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like it was just the other, it's still the other day, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you think about it. But the headlines that you're constantly getting about a big company, name some of the companies now that are kind of backing the organization, because it's an all-star list.
We've got a few more, so stay tuned. We got some big announcements coming. But
you're like unicorns in Atlanta. Every week there's a new one.
Brother,
So
they're true indeed.
Yeah.
A-Town down. I love Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's everybody's come on board. So Truist and Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, UPS, Fiserv, Chick-fil-A, all of these institutions that have made Atlanta great from a corporate citizen perspective.
Right.
When we pitched the vision of what we wanted to do, we haven't had many no's.
Right.
Quite honestly, brother, I don't know if we've had any no's.
I could just say no to it.
Yeah. And part of that may be that I'm not going to accept no as an answer.
Right.
But others get the vision and understand Atlanta is in this unique position right now to do something incredibly special.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody wants to be the company that at the end of 10 years when this thing explodes, that they weren't on the right side of history.
But I do think you are redefining entrepreneurship, helping it redefine what venture capital can be, or whatever we want to call it. Just call it capital. Who knows
Certainly.
what it could be. Redefining how how you learn. So yeah, you're right. How can a business say no to it, or else you're going to be left behind? Because now UPS is getting access to some incredible innovation that they may not have that access to, right? By helping that as well too. And I think it also helps too. You've always said this, that you make sure entrepreneurs are ready to handle the scale.
We're only in
the
two
big
businesses.
Companies. Right.
That's it. We're in the readiness business and the access business. If we do our job, Alex, we will have the most comprehensive platform to get a company to do business, be ready to do business at the next level. Whatever that means for them. Everybody's not going to be a unicorn. Maybe you actually just want to scale to this level, but you're going to be at a point of readiness where you can execute. And once you're at that point, giving you the access to soar, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of the hole in the supply chain when we say we need more diverse suppliers. But who's getting those suppliers ready to be suppliers to your company?
Yeah.
How do I get Delta ready? How do I get UPS ready? And yes, you can get me certified, but how do I get ready, and who's going to be that bridge between Delta saying we need more and us having the talent pool of companies that can fill that gap? It's been a void, and we're going to try to fill it.
And it's been, we talk about supplier diversity, or access, because it's such a big, it's a big issue. A lot of people are trying to solve it. It seems like you're positioned to be really the ultimate person to connect the dots on that.
We want to become known for that. We want to become known for access, opportunity, and exposure. Part of our ask with any of our corporate partners is not just about the dollars.
Right.
It is literally UPS or Fiserv. If you're going to be a partner, then you got to open the kimono. If you got to help us understand what it takes to do business with you.
Right.
And I swear, if we could understand from these companies where the hockey puck is going, we can train the next Wayne Gretzky to score.
Right.
And that's part of the conversation. What are your present needs? Well, let's have a deep conversation about your future needs, because companies can be built on those future needs.
Right.
They've got a first customer and they're to the races.
Right. So getting these companies ready, what is it that you look for in that founder? Because you and I talked about this before. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Everybody's not going to be successful. It is about giving more access, but there's still going to be people who aren't going to be able to make it. So,
Sure.
So what do you look for to help make sure a company can make it?
We're
or
in a
the
unique
founder?
position because we're such a large center.
Yeah.
Because we really preach this narrative of being a place where people can get the information they need. So we built our big ideas model to do exactly that, though.
Yeah.
Kind of like college. Everybody's not going to graduate.
Right.
But there's a way you come in as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, graduate school, PhD. But if you don't make it out of freshman year, you're never going to graduate.
Right.
So our Inspire, Develop, Execute, Accelerate, Scale
Right.
does a bit of that. It provides hope to anybody that dreams.
Right.
And in the Inspire stage, you're talking about, I got an idea, and how do I go from just curiosity to a concept? But in Develop, we're all focusing on, okay, we got a concept, but how do you build a solid foundation for your company?
Right.
And is there a there at all?
Right.
And then in the execute phase, I'm a firm believer execution trumps everything in entrepreneurship, where you spend the entire time finding your customer. And if you can't find your customer, maybe you're solving the wrong problem.
Right.
But if you found your customer, you've created value, you can communicate that value. In the accelerate stage, it's now time to look at how do you actually build your capacity, more customers, earn revenue. And from there, once we've established that foothold, we go into scale, and that's all about growth.
Right.
My thing is that I cannot consciously cut off somebody that says I have a big dream.
Right.
I got to find a place for that person to onboard.
Right.
But we also have practices and what we call gauntlets in place to ensure as they move along that continuum,
Right.
that they're ready. And you might find somebody their sophomore year that says, I want to change my major.
I was going to say, I mean, that's a good part
Or,
of
you know,
college, too.
I rather work with my hands.
Right.
Or a CEO that finds out they're a much better CFO.
Yeah.
And they've got a classmate that needs a good CFO.
Yeah.
They link and then they take off together.
Yeah.
But you've got to create the institution that manufactures hope at scale.
Right.
And that's what we want to do. And wherever your place is, I want to leave you with your dignity and saying that I believe in your idea.
Right.
But I also want to provide the platform that on your own, you will find out that this may be the right direction or the wrong direction.
Right.
And so it's been good. We're learning though. We've only been at this for 3 years, and 2 of those were during a pandemic and everything else. So we're learning how to best, articulate our value proposition and how we can make sure that we're moving entrepreneurs along the continuum.
Well, let's talk about these few years too. It's amazing, even in the midst of the pandemic and everything going on, we've seen this acceleration now in Atlanta. I mean, talk about a moment. We're here at A3C, music's playing as we get our creatives coming in here, technologists. It's unicorns that, as I mentioned earlier, I've announced every day. Of course, the MailChimp news, the Spanx, Calendly, Flocks. There's so much going on. Why do you think this moment is here now in Atlanta? What makes you excited about it?
It's been happening for a while.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to remember that this is the city that changed the entire world without firing a single shot.
Yeah.
And people have been coming and drawn to Atlanta for a number of reasons. We brought the whole world here for the Olympics.
Yep.
We were the home and the birthplace of the civil rights movement. So quite honestly, if you just put it out on a map, like a chronology map,
right,
it only makes sense that something catalytic would come from this city yet again.
Yep, that's
and I think in this space, it's around entrepreneurship, creativity.
Yeah.
Paul Judge says, and I love the way he articulates it, like we've got the corporations, we've got the culture, and we've got the colleges.
Yeah.
We have this nexus that I don't think there's any other city in America, maybe the world. Because I've been to Silicon Valley, love what they're doing in the Research Triangle, Asheville, Miami, Austin, certainly Silicon Valley. None of them have gotten diversity right. None of them have made innovation inclusive.
Right.
Atlanta has the unique ingredients to actually do something that benefits all people in a way that nobody else has been able to do it.
Right.
And so when you have Georgia Tech down the street, and the whole AUC, and Georgia State, and Emory, and Agnes Scott, not to mention SCAD.
Yeah.
You just keep adding these layers with a robust middle class and black professionals and this corporate network, a port within 3-4 hours. I mean, you start a logistics hub that the biggest logistics company in the world is in Atlanta.
Yep.
The largest fintech company in the world is in Atlanta.
Yep.
The largest, busiest airport in the world is in Atlanta.
Yep.
And I think that we always knew the script, we just forgot our lines. This was bound to happen,
right,
because we have all the tangible assets.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do we? And what is the thing we have to make sure we capture? What's the thing we got to make sure we do as Atlanta to make sure we really continue this growth?
That it's as easy for it to work for you,
yep,
as it is for me.
Yep.
Like that opportunity is one of those things that all have access to. I think we lose GDP every year because the brilliant ideas that exist in brown and black minds never reach the marketplace because they don't believe they belong.
Right.
A lot of the work that the chamber is doing is actually bridging the gap for these brilliant ideas that have a fair shot. And that's all I ask, is just everybody has a fair shot at opportunity. If we miss that mark and don't create these safe on-ramps for people that aren't your traditional white male, if we miss that mark, we lose. We all lose. But I don't think we're on it. I don't think we have any. I don't think there's any threat of us doing that. I think this momentum that we have right now is going to ensure a level of equity and inclusion that no other kind of ecosystem has demonstrated in the past 20, maybe 50 years.
Well, Jay, and I think it's having you here as an innovator and as a leader for all that I think is key too. And I always talk about that in addition to all the assets, the companies, the entrepreneurs, the capital. It's having the Jay Baileys of the world, the Russell Innovation Centers of the world, and everybody else that you collaborate so incredibly with, from the David Cummings to the Paul Judges, to the Jewels of the world, is what's going to make this possible. So, look, we could spend, as you know, all day, and it's fun. Wait, what is this? Is this number 9 or 10 for us?
I don't know, brother. It's good.
It's always something different. Always fun.
Always fun.
Jay, thanks again for being here.
That's what makes the magic happen, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
We genuinely like each other. Atlanta's a small town wrapped around tall buildings.
Absolutely.
So those people we need to touch, we can. And brother, I consider it an honor to be able to touch you, my friend.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. And we'll be back here at A3C with more here in the Atlanta Innovation Studio, powered by MailChimp.
All right.